Very briefly, before I get into this, I want to talk about a video that Brittany put out yesterday, Brittany Page, on her channel, about the very first confirmed death as a result of abortion bans in the case of a woman named Amber Nicole Thurman, a mother who was killed because of the state controls over bodily autonomy. And it leads into a fundraiser that we are putting forward right now, that we are conducting for the National Abortion Federation. They run prochoice.org and the National Abortion Hotline, which provides financial assistance to women who have to travel out of state, oftentimes because of draconian abortion bans in their states. If you have an extra $5, it could make all the difference in literally saving a life, as it very well could have in the case of Amber Nicole Thurman. So please consider, if you are in a financial position, to donate to this very worthy cause. It's on this video. If you go watch this video of Brittany Page, just look for the donate button. And if you have an extra 5 or 10 or 15 or more, please make a difference and donate to this cause. Let's talk about proximity to power. Let's talk about wealth. Let's talk about connection. Chris Cuomo, I didn't notice this until last night, but Chris Cuomo the other day posted a video. Chris Cuomo, the son of the governor, former governor of New York, the brother of the former governor of New York, very well connected to power. A man who, when his brother got caught up, that's wrong, when his brother was sexually harassing employees, Chris Cuomo came to his rescue as a journalist to help him clean up the mess that he had created. Not a good person. Chris Cuomo takes to News Nation, his new show, and explains how both sides need to tone it down, both sides. And then he goes on in a second clip that I'm going to play for you and talks about how he called Donald Trump to see how his family was. Because that's how we do things. The entire time, both sidesing this whole entire narrative about the dangers that Donald Trump poses. As though he's just a normal politician. Why is everybody not tripping all over themselves to make sure he's okay after he was shot in the head? First, watch him both sides this. And look, I know there's going to be people who disagree. I know there's fans of Cuomo out there. I am not one of them. That's okay. I'm sure he wouldn't expect me. Well, maybe, who knows? But we can have a conversation about our differences of opinion about this. But I want you to, with clear eyes, with an open mind, listen to his words here and tell me where I'm wrong.
So the blame for the dynamic is everywhere. On the right, far right, for sure. But just as troubling to me, and no, it is not false equivalency. My brothers and sisters, I got nobody to impress. Okay? I'm not joining any team. I'm not looking for a following. I'm not looking for fans. I tell people to take a hike on a regular basis. I'm just telling you how I see it as somebody who has been studying us for a quarter century in this gig. It is just as troubling to me to hear about fake stories of eating cats and dogs as it is to hear fake concern by our sitting president and almost nothing from the Democrat who wants to lead us about what happened with Trump. We don't condone violence. Who says that? What does that even mean? You don't dismiss trivial pursuits of violence? Okay, who would? We need a lot more than that right now. We need reason to believe in who we are at our best, and we are starved of that.
Are we starved of it, Chris? Are we starved of leadership when both the President of the United States of America and the Vice President of the United States of America have both said in no uncertain terms, this is wrong? We condemn violence in politics in any form whatsoever. We don't condone violence. Who says that? Who says that? People who don't condone violence. What would you have had them do? Chris Cuomo, rich guy, white, well-connected, so well-connected he can pick up the phone and call Donald Trump to just commiserate. Oh, sir, how terrible that the Democrats are not groveling at the situation that you yourself created. And if you're not yet with me about this both sidesing absolute nonsense, here's the crux of it. And he may have said more after. I didn't watch the full 17 minutes because after the last statement here, where he says Donald Trump isn't even talking about getting shot, he's not even talking about it all the time. It let me know everything I needed to know about the position that is held by Mr. Cuomo. Watch him talk about calling Donald Trump out of some childhood fantasy or fear that his father might have been killed or hurt. Just really mucking it up here.
So after waiting for a real message, looking around the media, being disappointed again, that everybody just wants to kind of parse out who's to blame, who's to blame. I mean, don't you think that you should, and don't you think that you should, and nobody's doing this. But this is the only thing that's going to change it. Okay? And look, I hear what Trump is saying. Trump blames the Democrats and their attacks on him as a threat to democracy for the violence directed toward him. He then says that they are the real threats to democracy. So if it's wrong that they're threatening him that way by calling him that, why would he call them that? We need better. And I keep seeing use of the word hate everywhere in our politics. Trump hates Taylor Swift. Democrats hate him, want him eliminated. So here's what I did. I didn't know what to say. I kept going through drafts, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. It wasn't even landing right with me. So I called former President Trump. And I didn't ask him any questions. I didn't go after him about his role. I just wanted to know how his family's taking this. Because I grew up like that. I grew up worried about who was going to try to hurt my father. And I told you a story last week that I remember this day. I was 7, 8 years old, okay? And I remember him jumping off that stage in some ugly houndstooth blazer and running up the front of an auditorium because someone had thrown a pie at a coconut shell at Abe Beam, who was mayor, and Bella Abzug, who was running for mayor. She used to wear these big, beautiful hats. And my father's on the stage with them in this mayoral debate or discussion, whatever. He got killed. He lost so many elections before he won one. And the guy throws the thing, and my father jumps off the stage and goes running up, and throws him on the ground, holds him down. I was so scared. And you can think what you want about Trump. He does not have many more full-throated critics of what he says and does than me, okay? And yet I called him today because I am ashamed of how we are responding and not responding to the threats on him. And I feel for his family. And I know you can roll your eyes and say, oh, yeah, he asked for it. Listen, that's your choice, and I think it's a wrong choice, okay? We got to get out of the judgment business unless it's judging ourselves, and you got to start rewarding things that are better. And I got to tell you, I don't know how he stays in the race. I don't know how he got up after being shot in the head. And you people who try to mitigate that, you need to check yourself. He gets up, pumping his fist, stays in the race, barely even talks about it.
He gets up, pumping his fist, stays in the race, and he barely even talks about it. The gross thing here is Chris Cuomo knows better. Chris Cuomo's in the news business. Chris Cuomo watches the clips. He knows the character of Donald Trump. He knows the actions and the words of Donald Trump. He knows Donald Trump is barely talking about it. Donald Trump doesn't take a moment. There's not a rally or an appearance where he's not talking about taking a bullet for the country, as though he's some righteous paragon of democracy and democratic thinking. That he's some truly selfless leader who's doing this for you, America. Chris Cuomo knows better. He's not a stupid man. He may act like a dumb shit. He may say stupid things, but he's not a stupid man. Let me address a couple of these comments here. So I called the former president and I didn't ask him any questions. I didn't go after him about his role. I just want to know, how's his family taking this? You know what you could have done, Chris? You could have called his family to find out how they're doing, rather than the individual who said, well, maybe the Second Amendment people can take care of Hillary Clinton if in fact she gets elected. You didn't have to call the guy who said he wants to terminate all rules and regulations and articles up to and including the Constitution of the United States. You didn't have to call the guy who dispatched an angry, frothing, armed, violent mob to the United States Capitol to conduct a coup, to end democracy in America. You didn't have to call, by the account of the man running for vice president with Donald Trump, you didn't have to call America's Hitler. But you did. You went straight to the source because Democrats aren't doing enough to bury their head inside the asshole of Donald Trump like all the Republicans do. And like you yourself apparently yearn to do. We got to get out of the judgment business, says Chris Cuomo, unless it's judging ourselves, as he casts judgment on all of us. See how that works, Chris Cuomo? Unless it's judging ourselves, he says. And you got to start rewarding things that are better. And I got to tell you, I don't know how he stays in the race. I don't know how he got up after being shot in the head. Wasn't shot in the head, Chris Cuomo. I don't know how he does it. He's so strong and godlike. What a man with patriotism running through his veins to stay in the race. And you people, he says, in a non-judgmental way, and you people who try to mitigate that, you need to check yourself, he says in a non-judgmental way. He gets up, pumping his fist, stays in the race, and barely even talks about it. Chris Cuomo has an infection. He has a sickness, an illness, and I don't know that it can be treated. That illness is wealth, influence, power, connection to Donald Trump, the ability to pick up his phone and call America's Hitler, J.D. Vance calls him that, and see that he's okay. Are you okay? Mein Führer, are you okay? Please, how's your family? You got shot in the head. There's not a scar. There's not a blemish on his ear. He wasn't shot in the head, dipshit. Anyway, I've been disgusted with Chris Cuomo for a long time, and this just really seals the deal. I don't know where you are. I'm sure there's a lot in here that you could make an argument, but fundamentally, he's both sidesing this. Fundamentally, he's not calling Kamala Harris. He's not calling Democrats. He's calling Donald Trump and acting as though we need to do better at treating Donald Trump more gently, with more openness. And it's gross. And it's dangerous. What do you think? You can leave a comment below. You can tell me how wrong I am there. You can also call and give me a ration there. 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Do not forget, please, if you have the financial wherewithal to do so, donate to the National Abortion Federation fundraiser. We're trying to get to 20,000. If we could push past 20,000, that would be fantastic. And we're only going to be able to do it if we marshal the size of our audiences and collective concern about making this world a better place. And that starts with us. It does start with us. Anyway, follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore everywhere. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.